What's going on, guys? It's Vintage Brian here, and I'm back from a 2 week vacation that I took to Los Angeles. I just got back and I'm exhausted, but I wanted to hop on the camera here and kind of just tell you guys my experience in LA, why I had not posted a video in about 2.5 weeks. Which reminds me, if you haven't watched my last video, it's going to be right up here so that you can go ahead and watch it. But I just want to kind of go over what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks and sharing my experiences with you guys. Now, I visited Los Angeles, and from the moment that me and my girl touched down on LAX, we were trying to occupy our time with good vibes, fun, and just a whole bunch of energy. And honestly, I can say that for the entire time that we were there, we did nothing but have a blast. Now, one of the things that we did while out in LA was that we visited Disneyland. Now, I've never stepped foot in a Disney park. I don't even think I've stepped foot in Florida, to be honest. So I can't really compare it to Disney World. But after visiting Disneyland, I can honestly say that it's just as magical as people have always described it to me. Um, you honestly feel like a kid when you're in Disney. And honestly, I very much was a kid. Oh, yeah. I had a blast being able to see things like Spider Man jump from one side of a building to another, and being able to interact with Iron Man, and giving me that feeling like at any moment he could just blast off to go fight crime is just something so magical that you can do when you're at Disney. Between the scenery from Avengers Campus, the restaurants like the Ant Man restaurant, they have an Ant Man restaurant where the foods are exaggerated beyond belief. You really do feel like you're in an entirely different world. I was walking around Disneyland with a Thor hammer, and this Thor hammer holds drinks. And I was just chugging away throughout Disneyland, and it just looked normal. It just looked like I was just drinking out of a regular cup. Nobody really sat there and looked at me differently. Now, that's just something special that could only really happen when you're in a place like that. Now, I did manage to get a bunch of cool items when I was in Disneyland. I have this nice Disney 100 Years cup with the straw coming out of Mickey's head like that. I did get the Thor hammer that I showed you guys a second ago, and it does kind of light up. Don't know if the camera's really going to catch that, but it does light up, which is cool. And then I also did get what are honestly some of my favorite things: the Spider-Man web shooters and Spider-Man goggles. Uh, I did take a video with these on, acting like a complete child. Like I said, a child, and I got a Spider Bot RC Spider, which honestly I get freaked out by spiders, but I don't know how often I'll use it, but it will. I have it now. I have a robotic spider. Oh, and we can't forget the Mickey Mouse ears. Like seriously, we can't forget the Mickey Mouse ears. But Disney was a blast, and we actually went on Valentine's Day, so there was a nice aesthetic once the sun went away, with hearts everywhere, and just kind of a really romantic vibe that I know me and my girl really enjoyed. But not only did we go to Disney, we also ended up going to Universal Studios, and honestly, that was fun. I had just as much fun in Universal as I did in Disney. Now, one really cool thing is that we actually went to Universal on the day that the Super Nintendo World grand opening happened, which Super Nintendo World, it's a cool addition to Universal. I had never really been to Universal as a whole, so it was nice to be able to experience that while I was out there, as well as that grand opening. But we were really excited to go to Super Nintendo World, and it kind of let us down a little bit. Now we got to Universal at like 9:30 in the morning, and nowhere at all was it posted that you had to make a reservation to get into Super Nintendo World from Universal. So when we got there at 9:30, thankfully I, for whatever reason, decided to download the Universal Studios app, and I actually saw that you had to make a reservation. Now, getting there at 9:30, I was able to do the reservation for about 250 to go into Super Nintendo World, which was okay because we got to see the other parts of Universal in that span of time. So we got to meet Shrek, the Minions, King Julian. Oh, and by far my favorite part, we got to meet the actual live action Transformers, which, I mean, just take a look.
Bumblebee, this is my friend. Bumblebee is back. Honey, got you. I'm glad you have returned, soldier. Now we got the whole squad here. That's right, Bumblebee.
You can just see the joy on my face. Like, I'm a huge Transformers fan. I grew up on that. So while it isn't the real life transforming Camaro and Optimus Prime, uh, being able to interact with them was honestly, for me, was like, I honestly enjoyed that so much. Then, of course, it became time to go ahead and see Super Nintendo World. And going into Super Nintendo World, it's really like stepping into a Mario video game. It really is a beautiful place in there. The only thing I would have to say about Super Nintendo World is that it is on the rather small side. So when you go in there, especially on grand opening, which we knew, it was just packed beyond control. Everything was a 60-minute to 2 hour wait. The only bummer really about Super Nintendo World was that some of the things that they sold, like headbands and stuff, were sold out even before the park opened because they let VIP members in early. And we were only able to go to Universal for one day because our flight left the next day. But we were never able to eat in the Toadstool Cafe, which is honestly the part that me and my girl wanted to do the most. When we got in there at 250, they were not going to take reservations for another hour and a half. And they said that when they did open reservations again, it was going to be for like 8 to 10 p.m., which was insane. After being there for about a half hour, after getting in there for 250, I think by like 3:30, me and my girl were pretty much on the same page that we were done with Nintendo World. It was cool, but grand opening just was not the day to go. But it was nice to see. Now, I did get a couple of things over at Universal Studios. This Transformers plushie, huge Bumblebee fan, so of course the plushie and the Bumblebee head cup had to come with me. And then I did end up getting a mushroom cup. The straw's not here right now, but it is a cup. And my girl got the popcorn bucket that's shaped like the Power Star and the green mushroom cup. So a lot of cool things that you were able to get while we were at Universal Studios. We had a blast, and I'm honestly super happy that we went out of our way to go to Universal Studios. Now, I don't know how many people know this because not everybody is into that kind of a culture, but in California, they have what's called the Funko Museum. Now, if you're not familiar with what Funko are, they're basically these figures right here, which they make for every single movie, TV show, and character that you could possibly think of in your entire lifetime. But basically, what happens is they have a bunch of Disney characters, Marvel characters, DC characters, Disney princesses, things like that, that are Funkoized. I don't know if that's really a terminology, but we're going to go with that. Funkoized. And you get to take pictures with props. You get to buy things exclusively from that store. And one of the coolest things is that you actually get to make your own Funko. Now, this is a Funko that has my name on it, as you can see. It also has my two dogs, Sparky and Max, which was a really nice touch. But this worked as a really good souvenir to bring back for some of my family members. So I did have one of me made, my girl made one, and I did make others in my family. Brought them back, and I'm going to give them to them tomorrow and see where their reactions are like. This was really cool. I think me and my girl spent like 2.5 hours there, and it was honestly one of the bigger highlights of our trip that we weren't actually expecting. Now, there was no way that I was going to go to LA and not check out some of the sneaker culture that's out there. Back in 2019, I visited a store called Cool Kicks when they were a little bit smaller, just starting out. and it was an amazing store. I mean, they have great prices, a lot of heat that you can't really find out here. And now, having visited them after 4 years, their store has only gotten bigger, and I was able to find shoes that uh, I really wanted for really good prices. So on day one, I haven't even checked into the hotel, and I was already at Cool Kicks trying to check out what sneaker deals I could find. I was able to meet a YouTuber that I actually watch a lot, which is Rami the Icon, and that was a cool experience. We talked for a little bit about just YouTube, and he helped me actually buy a couple of shoes because, to be honest with you, during this vacation, I bought a lot of shoes, like a lot of shoes. Um, my mom watches these videos, so for the sake of not giving her a heart attack, I'm not gonna go ahead and mention how much I spent on sneakers while I was in LA. But just know that I haven't spent that much money in a long time, and yeah, I did get a lot of shoes. So I did end up buying 3 shoes on day one of being in LA. These 3 shoes were the Trophy Room Air Jordan 7s, which I wanted this past Christmas, but nobody got them, so I got them for myself. So I have those now. I ended up buying a dead stock pair of the 2012 Olympic sixes because they were honestly the best deal I think I got out of all the shoes that I bought when I was out there. And I ended up getting the Spider-Man ones. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man, so when I saw these for the price that they had them, never worn, there was no way I was gonna pass them up. So of course this was coming home with me, and I'm happy that I have them now. Another shoe that I did end up getting was the UNC 5s. Now, these I actually ended up getting on day two from a store called Bottom Bunk. Now, Bottom Bunk wasn't there in 2019 when I first went to LA and visited Melrose Avenue, but the store was really nice. It was cool to see another shoe store out there that was laid out really well, and I had a really nice interaction with the worker that was there, which allowed me to also go ahead and get this shoe, which is early. This Air Jordan 5 UNC doesn't drop until March 4th, so I should be able to have a review out for you guys probably the Tuesday or Wednesday before these shoes release, which should be the dates will be right down here. So definitely stay tuned for the review of this shoe when I post it up on the channel. But yeah, really nice to have these early. Beautiful shoe. Can't wait to review them. So midway through the week that I was there, Cool Kicks actually posted on their Instagram a pair of shoes that I knew I could not pass up because it's a hard shoe to find these days, which is the Air Jordan 1 Travis Scott High. Now, this shoe I actually have a hard time finding in my size in a good condition and, of course, for a good price. So when I saw these go up for the size that they had them in, as well as the price that they had them in, it was actually posted like 3 hours before I had actually seen it. But the moment I saw it, I got up, got in the car, drove over to Cool Kicks, and thankfully they were still there. So I was able to add one of my longtime grails into the collection. Now, these 2 pairs I actually didn't get in LA. I got them ordered before I went to LA, but they got delivered while I was out there. So this is actually going to be the first time that I see them in hand. And the first pair of shoes is going to be the Air Jordan 2 Lucky Green. Now, the Air Jordan 2, it's not the most popular model. I personally, this is going to be my second pair of 2s that I have in my collection. But it is a shoe with a color that you don't see too often. They're going to be releasing a couple of extra Lucky Green shoes in a 3 and I think an Air Jordan 4 later on this year. But the green is really nice on this. It's something that I don't have in the collection that often. So I figured that since I don't have that many Air Jordan 2s, I like that it's not too overpowering in the green, and I decided to go ahead and order these. And seeing them in hand, I'm glad that I did. Now, the other shoe is actually the Air Jordan 1 Union. Now, this is actually the first Union collaboration shoe with Jordan that I actually got my hands on for retail. And I gotta say, it's not the most impressive shoe, but I took a risk in getting the shoe so that I could A, review it for you guys if I wanted to, and B, I wanted to see the materials in person. It wasn't a shoe you could just go ahead and go into Foot Locker and buy, so I wanted to go ahead and order them if I got the opportunity, which I did. The nice thing about this shoe is you can actually switch the swoosh color to some of the provided swooshes that they have, and they also come with a gray lace to go ahead and put on the shoe. So there might be a review for these coming out in the next couple of days. Not 100% sure what I want to do with the shoe yet, but I did go ahead and cop them before I went to LA, and they got delivered while I was out there. So yeah, guys, this was just a quick little recap as to what I've been up to for the last week and a half. I had a lot of fun while I was out in LA, but I'm back. I missed making these videos, and I have a lot of things scheduled to go ahead and review and then post for you guys to watch. So stay tuned for that. I wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for going ahead and showing support to my videos. You guys don't have to take the time out of your day to watch them, but the fact that you do and show some support means a lot to me. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and put these on and then act a fool for a couple of minutes before I go to bed. So this is Vintage Brian, and I will catch you on the next one.